Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Cultured Nerd Podcast. This week we're going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, how it's continuing to break records, and it's coming in on its I don't know, what is it, like sixth, seventh week, maybe, and it's coming up on Labor Day weekend, and it's going to own Labor Day weekend. So people are just okay. This is it. Marvel may change forever because of this movie. And we're also going to talk about how Ryan Reynolds over the last couple of weeks has just been showering all of the cast and crew with praises, and then dropped a deleted scene, quote unquote, that teased more Gambit coming. So we are going to talk about all of these things, what that means for the MCU, and we're going to have a little fun with it.
Hello, Tay-Blade. I've put in my Taylor Beyblade and I'm ready to let it rip.
You made a Beyblade reference and your name is a Yu-Gi-Oh reference. So I'm trying to figure out where you're at.
You're a Beyblade. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh. Together, we're a bunch of cultured nerds. Taylor, it's so wonderful to see the starter dough that is this Deadpool and Wolverine. And there was, people didn't know if it was going to be good or not. There's a lot of hype around it. And it basically completely redirected Kevin Feige and Disney's Marvel.
It really did. I mean, it was funny because you watch this movie and you can kind of tell that this movie did build in this plausible, like, what if it doesn't work? So we're not going to truly affect the MCU. And then at the end, this movie has made, I think currently it's sitting at $1.2 billion in the box office. That's a lot of cheddar.
How much more money do you think? It's not going to go to $2 billion, okay? But if it's in theaters another 2 months, what do you think the final total on all this is going to be?
So what's interesting is I'm looking at the MCU overall, right? And it is now currently just a few $1 million behind Iron Man 3 and is on its way to be the seventh the chain of MCU box office.
Iron Man 3, in my humble opinion, is the first of the not good movies that just rode the hype of Marvel movies.
It really did. It was like, oh, we just had Avengers. Now we got Iron Man 3. And everyone saw it and they're like, aw. We're all like, aw. That wasn't good. I mean, he was Iron Man for maybe 20% of the movie.
Were you the one who told me that movie's like you have to think about that movie as a James Bond movie? Like it's not. That's kind of more of the angle that they went with it. I hate the bait and switch that they did with the villains.
They really did. Multiple bait and switches.
Yeah.
So it was just really frustrating, but is what it was. I mean, the movie itself has sort of had a lasting impact on the MCU, but like maybe only 10 years later they decided to re-reference a few of the things.
Yeah.
With Shang-Chi, and that was it.
Also, it was wild to find out that Shang-Chi was supposed to be the dominant Avenger in the scrapped Avengers movie that was supposed to happen. Not that he was a bad character or anything, but they have done zero things with him. He didn't show up in anything. He never was like the bonus guy. What do you mean you're going to make him the lead?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. But, I'm really hoping that they do still do something with it. I heard some rumors that part of what they're doing now is there's a lot of MCU multiverse stuff that's going to be happening. Like Spider-Man 4 is going to be releasing between Doomsday and Secret Wars. So it's going to be another multiverse film leading into more Spider-Verse stuff that leads into Secret War, which I don't see anything bad with that. A lot of people are like, oh, more multiverse. I'm like, honestly, guys, Spider-Man No Way Home was the best of the trilogy. So, I mean, I'm all for seeing more Spider-Mans in this film. So let's do it. I'm fine with that.
It really is the best of those three movies. It's not. I don't think I appreciated the Mysterio movie when I saw it the first time for like what it was doing as a setup in that world.
Maybe I still don't appreciate it. I don't know.
Okay.
It's not the best.
And the first movie had way too much Iron Man in it.
It did. But of those movies, Michael Keaton as Vulture was probably the highlight. Like he was
Oh
probably one of
yeah.
the best villains that they've had in a long time. Um,
Oh,
he was so menacing and creepy, and he was so good at what he did.
yeah, and I think the strength of that is what led to that second one. And
Yeah.
then and I think the Avengers movies is what really made that Spider-Man really want to pop. And then combining him with Doctor Strange, I thought was like a really great combination.
And what's interesting about it is that I go back and watch these movies, and it seems like the Spider-Man that the Russos set up in Civil War didn't really match the Spider-Man that we got after the Civil War. And I was watching them, I'm like, this is so weird. Like that they course corrected so hard with Peter right after that first
Yeah,
introduction.
wasn't he 14 in the first one?
Yeah, he was like 14 or 15. He was this kid. And then like, I mean, he was still kind of that age, but it's like immediately after that movie, he and Aunt May got a new place, and all the aesthetics for that world kind of got shifted as well. His outfits changed, like his whole wardrobe, his look, everything kind of changed almost immediately after. It was like, it's kind of like when you watch like the Incredible Hulk and then the Avengers, and you're like, I know they're supposed to be the same character, but like the difference is like you had Edward Norton and you have Mark Ruffalo, but you still had Tom Holland. So it's kind of like a less jarring transition, but it still felt a little out of place.
Mm.
But what's interesting is that so this movie comes out, Deadpool and Wolverine. No one was kind of expecting it to be this Barbenheimer kind of a phenomenon on cinema, but it has been. And
Deadpool's the Barbie, Wolverine is the Oppenheimer of this Barbenheimer combination.
Yes, there's no disputing that.
Yeah, and I also think something that you talk about, that for all the problems that there are with those Fox movies, they're still watchable movies.
Yeah.
Like,
and a lot of them are better than some of the crappy MCU movies.
I was very surprised that I really enjoyed the New Mutants movie. I saw where it missed, but it was swinging and did a lot with what it could in that weird, like, oh, we'll do another M. Night Shyamalan Glass movie, but with superheroes.
Yeah, but the problem was that the merger is what screwed that movie and screwed Dark Phoenix. Because we now understand that when those movies came out, Kevin Feige and Marvel said you can't use these aspects because you will tie them up in legal litigation. So you're not allowed to use any of this stuff. So they had to the Dark Phoenix, the villains were actually Skrulls. And mind you, when you understand that those villains are Skrulls, you're like, wow, that Fox movie Skrulls are way better than the Captain Marvel Skrulls.
Yeah.
But they had to cut all of that plot out. They had a bunch of stuff they had to cut out. So the movie felt disjointed because they had to cut out all of the plot of the villains and their origins. Mm. And you put all that stuff back in and you're like, okay, maybe this is a pretty great movie. Because that train scene, I'll fight people on this, but that train scene is probably one of the best fight scenes in the X-Men. It's a long hallway scene, but just down a train. And Magneto it was probably the most OP we saw Magneto in these films. Like him walking down the hall with all of the guns. And crushing the train around, he was so good. He's so good at this. And then you have, the Fantastic Four movies were campy, but they were family movies. But Fox Marvel had a lot of wins. And when you look at the stuff that the MCU prevented, like Dark Phoenix, and then even New Mutants, when the whole plot of the villain actually being Mr. Sinister and the reveal that he was supposed to be there, and then they cut all the Mr. Sinister stuff out, the movie felt a little one-sided. You're like, where is this going? Because who's the bad guy other than the girl with her dreaming bear? What's going on? And you're like, oh, they're supposed to be a villain. They cut him out because they wanted to keep the character active.
Anna Taylor-Joy's Magic was a great casting. The movie has really good casting.
The movie has a great cast. The horror stuff, the creep factor, it was all there. I liked it a lot. I liked the vibe. I want another movie like that. I just want them to not take out sneak caps.
You're going to go into more of where this leads to. I want to talk about some of this plethora of information that has come out of other conversations and other people that were supposed to be in it. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if now that opens the door. So one of the stories that I recently heard was that Nicolas Cage was approached to come back as Ghost Rider. Yep. He talked to him on the phone. He pitched it to him. Nicolas Cage declined. Now that this movie's done $1.6 billion, do you think Nicolas Cage wants to ride a green motorcycle back into the MCU?
Well, the idea was always to bring him into the MCU, and bring him back into it and get it going. And look, I mean, they got it far enough where like this was some of the official concept art for Deadpool and Wolverine. And in this concept art, you have Elektra, you got a T-Rex Deadpool, there's Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and there's Ghost Rider.
Wow.
Like, they actually had very high hopes for a lot of stuff that just didn't happen.
Shout outs to Jennifer Garner being on the script day one, and she was like, hell yeah, I'm in. Now, funny, you showed me that picture, and that's amazing. I hope that they now trust Ryan Reynolds and give him the budget to give us a T-Rex, because I guarantee it's going to be the best T-Rex since Jurassic Park's T-Rex.
Oh, for sure.
If they allow that to happen. Yeah.
Why would that not be the best thing?
But like, they pivoted. They thought of what else they can do, and now.
And then they brought the budget down a little bit. And mind you, here's the whole. I showed the zoom in version, but I want to show you the full piece because the full piece is pretty cool. And that is actually what the Deadpool core fight was going to be. Just this orgy of.
We did not get this orgy. I would love to have this orgy on film.
Yeah. So like we could have had something really cool, and they've released a lot of other alternate Deadpools, like an MMA Deadpool, a luchador Deadpool. There were so many fun Deadpool things, even a Wolverine Deadpool, like a Deadpool with Wolverine claws and the mask. They had so many fun things, and they just like, no, we couldn't do it. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. And
well, there's things they didn't give us, but what they did give us was Channing Tatum as Gambit, which nobody. It's so funny that they're giving us comic accurate heroes, and the audience is saying, yes, please, I would like some more of that. And
the funny thing is, so the week after this movie comes out, it was like at day 7, Ryan Reynolds is like, you've all had a week, we broke $1 billion, guess what, I'm spoiling shit.
Yes.
And
okay.
He started every day, he started releasing a piece of like behind the scenes stuff on his social medias. On the first day it was like Jennifer Gardner, here's some videos of her. Here's some stuff about her when I made her the call and she said yes before I even finished the pitch. He starts talking about her, and then he brings up Channing Tatum and said, this guy was meant to play Gambit, and I hope he keeps playing Gambit. And he did that a few weeks ago, right? He says this. And then earlier this week, he drops this video.
Yeah.
And this video, a lot of people remember, like if you're watching the post-credit scene of the movie, this video is actually on the TVA wall in the bottom playing. So they're like, oh, it's a deleted scene, but it's actually still technically in the film.
Cool.
And the scene shows Gambit walking over all the bodies of the people. And then you hear the Marvel sparkle. And then he turns and he sees the portal opening up behind him. And you're realizing that someone is taking him out of the void.
Somebody is.
Yeah. And that was actually still in the film. So a lot of fans are like, okay, they labeled this as a deleted scene. But this scene, for 80% of this scene is still visible in the film. So it's still canon. So a lot of people are now like, let's do it. We make like, and it's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, Channing Tatum's Gambit was so silly, it was so hokey. But I saw the movie a few times now, he was actually pretty damn serious, with the exception of 2 line deliveries. Yeah. Everything else, like I shot at my daddy's dick ready. That was one line that was like really funny. And then the next time, like that whole line where he was like, I'm waiting for this. Those are the only 2 lines that he delivered that were comical. But his whole introduction where he's going in and out of French and he's reprimanding Wolverine for drinking his liquor and all that stuff, he was very serious. And that was the Gambit that we were all expecting. And then obviously he played up a couple humorous scenes, and a lot of people like, oh, I don't want Channing as Gambit. He played it too funny. He said 2 lines that were funny. The rest of it was a fantastic depiction of the character.
Well, it makes me wonder then, what is this like in between X-Men we're going to get? Because Hugh Jackman said, I'm not going to be Wolverine. He came back. The audience wants to see Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
And they even made the joke, you're going to do this to your 90. And then Ryan Reynolds even made the reference a few times on social media, like, we've got him locked in until he's 90, everyone. Like,
so then we see comic accurate Gambit, and he's brought over.
Yeah.
So where do you think they pair it? Because like, I thought Anna Paquin as Rogue, even though it was a different Rogue, have her choke out the Vision or something. Minute 1 of the movie, she's flying and has super strength. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to get back to that character.
It's very easy, but
oh my God, Taylor, they're gonna have Rogue kill Brie Larson. She's gonna kill her. They hate her. They don't want her. She's gonna kill Captain Marvel and be like, I got these powers, sugar. Boom! They're gonna kill Brie Larson. Brie Larson's unhappy there. Have her take over.
Maybe, but the reality is
Have
that
her choke out Malika Rambeau and her at the same time. Fucking pile driver, get some powers.
I see that you're on board for this. But so the big rumor is that there is an X-Men film that's coming. Sean Levy is the #1 guy who's being looked at to make this.
Taylor, it's the first I'm hearing of this. What do you
mean?
The
idea that this X-Men film, I don't know where it's supposed to fit in the timeline. I feel like they're kind of setting it up to be pre-Secret Wars, like probably pretty soon. But the only characters that we know are involved, rumored to be involved. They said that you've got Wolverine, you've got Gambit, you've got Rogue, you've got Beast. And I'm like, looking at these names, I'm like, these characters they just listed off are all the ones we've seen in the MCU. We've seen the new Professor X, we've seen Beast in the Marvels, we've now seen Deadpool, Wolverine, and Gambit, and Colossus, and we understand that world has a much more comic accurate X-Men. So maybe the new X-Men film is going to be this Deadpool adjacent film, and we're going to get all these characters. Maybe we'll get a Rogue with a Southern accent played by who is that actress that the entire internet wants to have play Rogue?
I don't know.
Alexandria Daddario,
okay,
the girl with the eyes.
Okay,
girl with the eyes. Everyone wants her to play Rogue, and if you have her play Rogue opposite Channing Tatum's Gambit, the internet will be like, you win, Marvel, you got me.
I also wonder if you maybe even have Cable as Josh Brolin. I wonder if you have him show up to secure, like, oh yeah, this is even adjacent to has something to do with this world as well.
But speaking of Josh Hartnett would be actually a pretty good Cyclops. I think he'd be a pretty awesome.
Shut up. Don't even tease me. You think he's going to put on the red visor?
Josh Hartnett's been courted by every studio for the last 20 years. I think eventually if someone says, here's $20 million, can you put a visor on? He'll be like, let's do this.
He said yes to M. Night Shyamalan. He played that psychopath dad at the Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah,
that movie didn't do good, did it?
I don't know. I want to see it, but I haven't seen it.
No one wants to see it. It guarantees it's Rotten Tomatoes have got to be under 50.
No, it's actually.
What's the audience score?
It's 57. It's not under 50. It's on the good side of 50.
Listen, when our show turns into us playing internet games, over under Rotten Tomatoes sounds like a great game.
I think that would be a fun game. But no, so this movie comes out and we now know that we're gonna see that scene, the why Thor was crying, because even Ryan Reynolds teased, I know why Thor was crying. Yeah. And then Chris Hemsworth responded to it, I know too. And so that they're gonna eventually, I feel like that's probably how they're gonna do it. They're gonna open up Secret Wars with Deadpool dying, and that's how they're gonna be like, this is our way of dealing with this. But
do we get another Thor movie in all of this? The tone, I feel like you have to do a serious movie with him, and you do that through these Avengers movies.
Yeah. I feel like the only way they can fix it is give George Miller Thor and let him make Thor 5 and just have him do Mad Max with Thor. And everyone will be like, oh, it's serious again. Hell yeah. That's all we need,
Do you think that this is Marvel's been struggling to get this Blade movie made. Do you think that they just say, fuck it, bring Wesley Snipes over and have him bite whoever he wants to be the new Blade?
So funny enough, there was they've already teased Blade's inclusion, in the Eternals movie, at the post-credit scene actually had Mashhad Ali say, speak as Blade. He does have a screen credit, technically.
Oh, yeah. Remember when they were setting up the Black Knight and Blade?
Yeah. But so I read this really interesting pitch that Bo DeMeo, the guy who was fired from Marvel, who's on this ongoing legal battle with Marvel right now because of the X-Men 97 stuff.
It made too much money. He's got to sue, right? He's got to get a piece of that because he's not going to see any of the residuals that he was supposed to see.
There's a lot of issues there. But so Bo DeMeo actually put out this really cool pitch for what he would do if he had control over Blade. And he put on social media, he's like, this is how you bring back Wesley Snipes. Vampire dystopia, where they have learned to daywalk and have taken odor. Humans are now cattle. Brother Voodoo, part of the human existence, learns that Blade was dissected and entombed and decides to resurrect him so they can hunt Varney and the Darkhold cult and wipe out all the vampires. Treat it like a Kurosawa film. And I'm like, oh, I want that film. Like, yes, do that.
It has to be another country. Can't be America. He takes over like Latvia. He takes over Kazakhstan.
Yeah, but even then, it could be just set in the Blade universe and just have like, this is how Blade ended up in the void, or this is how Blade.
Sure.
Like,
oh yeah, that's like, true. The movie could end with him going into a TVA portal.
Yeah, or the movie could end with or the movie could start with the portal opening up, and that's how Blade shows up. Is that after the Deadpool stuff, he was brought into this timeline to fix it because the TVA previously pruned him. So you can do something. You can have a lot of fun with this, and you can give us that Wesley Snipes, the Logan of Wesley Snipes movies, and people will love it. So I think they have some room to cook, and the fact that Wesley Snipes came back for Ryan Reynolds is the best thing ever, because Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes did not get along at all in Blade Trinity. And the fact that it took like 10, 15 years and Ryan Reynolds was like, hey, I know that we hate each other, but do you want to be Blade again?
Do you think Ben Affleck fucked up by not being in this movie?
I think Ben Affleck going through a divorce is probably the reason why he didn't do this movie.
Wouldn't this have gotten away from J-Lo faster? I mean, I guess it's from one ex-wife to another ex-wife, so I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that sounds like a shit day anyway.
Yeah. It is what it is. I think we'll probably see all these cameos that didn't happen, all the limited budget stuff, that limited things. I think we'll see them all in Secret Wars. I think that they made these relationships. They're like, hey, Nick, you want to be Ghost Rider? Oh, no, I can't right now because I'm filming Longlegs. How about you come back for Secret Wars in a few years? Like, they probably got some stuff like that. So,
I wonder if any, they also talked about opening the door for that bad Fantastic Four to come over. I wonder if any of those characters come over now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, originally they were supposed to have like Michael B. Jordan and stuff in this one, and it just didn't work out. So,
but Michael B. Jordan killed it as what's his name in Black Panther, and I don't know if he wants to taint. You know what I mean? Like, that was a good character.
But at the same time, Chris Evans came back as Human Torch after spending how long as Captain America?
Yeah,
and the audience was not ready for that emotionally.
But I think because he did that, he opened the door and made this okay. I think that if not someone of that caliber, I think if someone else would have done it, I don't think it would have meant as much. I think the fact that he did it and made fun of himself in that way and his old character, I think opens the door for any of these people to come back now.
Yeah, I think now that they saw it, oh, by the way, it works, and audiences have embraced it, maybe we can do this too. But Deadpool and Wolverine has blown up in a way that most people did not realize was even possible. I conservatively kept saying this movie's probably going to make $800-900 million, and we're now 400 million over what I was expecting initially. So
it's funny. It's got really good action. It's a fun movie. It builds really nicely. I think it also demands a second watch. I think people are seeing it twice. I think they're telling their friends to go see it. That's obviously true.
And I didn't have issues with it the first time I watched it because I didn't like how they treated Johnny Storm. I felt like the way they were treating some of the cameos was kind of irreverent to like people's memories of those roles. And then I watched it the second time and I'm like, you know what? This is fine. So second viewing actually made me like it more. So I think that's kind of where we're at, is that this movie is done something that people were not expecting. It did essentially what the Guardians of the Galaxy did to the MCU the first time, where they made this dark horse of a movie that they weren't expecting to be as big as it was. It blew up, and then it completely changed the course of what the MCU can now go forward with.
Because those characters are all over the Russo brothers Avengers movie. They are the B plot of the first movie, right? With all the Gamora stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the second movie we get the robot sister. She gets to do a lot more stuff.
Yeah, and then she eventually joins the Guardians because of what happens in those movies.
Yeah.
So it's
you teased me that X-Men movie. I know Fantastic Four stuff is happening. Let's save that for another day because there's pictures and all that fun stuff.
There's pictures, and I just have to say, the fact that they went back to practical for the thing,
know that Ben
oh my
Grimm.
God.
Oh
I was like,
God.
that now maybe I'm going to give this movie a chance because
it's Taylor when the Ben Grimm face looked good.
I saw it and I'm just like, God damn, they cooked.
Yeah.
Oh no. Am I excited for this film now?
I'm not. Listen, I need to see more. We'll see what it does. The leads are holding hands. Maybe they fall in love. Who knows?
The leads were holding hands because Pedro Pascal actually has tremendous anxiety and does not do well in crowds, and being up on stage at Hall H kind of freaked him the fuck out.
That's exactly what I tell my wife when hot women are around. I say, I have a condition. I need to hold your hand. Come hold my hand.
Be there. Hold me. Make
you
me
hold
better.
My wife holds one hand. You hold the other hand. Taylor, hold my hand. Go to the side, Taylor. Taylor,
you used to do that to me all the time in public and just be like,
Taylor.
By the way, you can't say anything now, but guess what? I'm like, stop.
I'm
trying to pay for lunch.
I just want people to know. I know. Thank you for buying all of those breadsticks from Pat and Oscar's. But when does this come to fruition? When do you think we see it? The first Avengers trailer, when Logan Wolverine is in that as well? Is that when we know that all these characters are going to be in the MCU proper?
I think what's going to happen is that when the Secret Wars comes up, we're going to get that first teaser, and they're going to probably end the teaser with Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman walking out of the shadows and being like, we're here for the war. We're here as backup or something like that. And just have kind of like how the Deadpool and Wolverine teaser first came out, where you just saw the claw come out and the shadows, the silhouette, and everyone's like, oh, it's happening. Do something like that. Just have Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman walk out of the shadows and be like, deliver some badass line. And then the internet is like, oh, it's on. And general audiences are like, it's happening.
Ben Affleck might come back as Daredevil if he only has to do one movie and they kill him off, and it opens the door for what's his name?
He very well might.
Yeah.
I was looking for that paper for like a week now. I just found it. So.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to see what happens. We're not going to see it today, but very soon. I'm excited. And we'll definitely be talking more Fantastic Four stuff very soon.
Yeah, as the movie is filming, it definitely sounds like Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom is from that universe. So we're going to see much sooner than we all realize how this may work.
Very cool.
So, but on that note, if you like what we do, if you'd like to keep us, keep the show going, head over to the patreon.com/theculturednerd. Check out our tiers, offer anything if you want. And if you don't want to offer any money, if you don't want to help us out financially, like, comment, and subscribe, because that's a big thing for these kind of channels. Thank you so much for joining us. Scan that QR code, hit us up on the socials, and again, tell us what you think of the movie. Tell us what you want to see going forward with the MCU. Do you want them to adapt more of a mature tone? Do you want them to kind of ease up on the blood a little bit? Or do you think that the gory nature of Deadpool 3 and just the language, do you think if they just toned down the language, could this have been a PG-13 movie? Could this have worked? So sound off in the comments. Tell me what you think. But above all, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.